There's a lot of numbers that are gonna be happening, but every one of those numbers except for two are given to you. And the only two are the ones we just did. The radiant barrier and the insulation. Every other price is on that sheet. And those are the same numbers that transfigure to a home show and showroom prices, except, they're gonna be discounted, which you'll know what those numbers are too. But it's the same exact numbers, it's the same exact formula going across. And so, some people, they just, when you start saying to yourself, this is confusing, or this is hard, or this is difficult to understand, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's gonna make it more difficult for yourself. So I'm doing this part of the process right now just to kind of cushion it so that when we get into pricing, you're gonna realize that, hey, this isn't difficult, this is simple. The only formula I really have to know is this one. For 3,000 square feet.
3,000 square feet times the
Times
$4
$4
per square foot. Okay.
$12,000.
2,000 square feet.
Now
Not for
3,000
radiant
is
barrier.
Oh, okay.
You've got 2,000 square feet of insulation, because it's going on.
So it's 2,000. So it's a 3,000?
Come on, guys. This is not rocket science. Your insulation is down here, your radiant barrier is up in the rafters. Okay. This requires a 1.5 factor to make up for the fact that it's going up here instead of on a flat floor. You understand?
So I'm still going 2,000 times 1.5.
Thank you. Yeah, and if this were 1,500 square feet, it would be 1,500 times 1.5. Whatever the square footage of the home is,
Okay.
times 1.5 to get the square footage of the radiant barrier.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
very,
always
very
the
simple,
same,
right?
Always the same. Okay. It never changes.
Nothing complicated here.
Okay.
The only thing complicated is overthinking it,
I have a problem with that.
right? You walk up to the home, you're gonna know the square footage before you even get to the house, because it's gonna be on the lead slip.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no mysteries. It's just, this business is super simple. That's why I gravitated to it. It's a complex industry, but it's super simple the way we do it. The way we sell the solar photovoltaic, it'll blow your mind. We know it's gonna generate every kilowatt's gonna generate, that's 4 panels approximately. Every kilowatt's gonna generate $25 worth of electricity. So if they have a $200 bill and we're saving them 100 and they have 100 left, we just divide 25 into 100 and it's a 4 kilowatt system. That's how fucking simple it is.
Right.
That is simple.
You gotta save them the money first, before you sell
Yeah,
them.
you conserve first,
Yeah.
and then now there's the last part. And you say, I owe it to you to tell you what your best next step is going to be sometime in the future. You're not saying this to them like you're trying to sell it to them now. So you need to know what your next step is. If you do nothing, your power bills are gonna continue to go up. The $100 is gonna turn into $200 somewhere in the next 5 to 10 years, depending on, how much power rates go up. We're just using the 15% number, but we know based on what's been happening that that's a very conservative number. So, just to stick with what we're doing and to stick with the formula to make sure that, everybody's understanding, because I know when you haven't been in home improvements, it can be a little bit confusing. But you realize we're only dealing with attic insulation, radiant barrier, solar attic fans, hot water heaters, and variable speed pool pumps. And then we put an additive into the air conditioning called Blue Max. But basically that's it. And we have 2 different hot water heaters. One is a hybrid, one is a solar domestic hot water heater. If their power bill is under $200, you can't do a gold package with solar domestic hot water, but you can do it with a hybrid. Where you said if it's under $200 and you don't pitch, that's solar domestic hot water. You can still pitch hybrid radiant barrier and a fan, which is also a package, which is also a 50% savings, which is gonna be significantly less than having solar because it, you know, it costs $4,000 less. And so, but, you know, when they have a number of people in the house, it's better to save 90 to 95% off your power bill than it is to save 70% off your power bill. You know, it's gonna pay for itself anyway. You know, that's the thing about it. If everything that we're doing is gonna pay for itself. So the next category, we're just gonna work this all the way down, just into the category from insulation all the way down. So for the attic ventilation, what does it say? The percentage is 10%, so the waste is gonna be $25. And how much is it?
$17.95.
Everybody see that? Right under solar attic fan, it has a price. And so that's the same price that will go on replacement costs.
All right,
That's complicated, isn't it? I'm having to take a number that's already on the sheet and move it over 2 columns. Now, we're not gonna do anything with the hybrids, so kind of mark through that and mark through the $69.95 so it doesn't confuse you. But we are gonna do the Blue Max. Now, here's another formula for you. We have a 2,000 square foot home. The model number on the air conditioner is not the serial number, but the model numbers, if they haven't been bleached off, you know, some ACs sit in the sun and the thing just gets bleached to where you can't even read it. Okay, if that happens, we use 500 square feet per ton. So you take 2,000 divided by 500 and you get 4. That would be a 4-ton unit. So that's how simple that is. And if it's in a model number, it's gonna look something like this. A, B, C, 1, 7, 4. And so the number that's divisible by 12 will be the number that, of tonnage that their air conditioner is. And that would be 48. 48 divided by 12 is 4. It's the same. Either 500 square feet per ton divided into 2,000 gives you 4, or if they have a model number, and here are the numbers to coincide with that. And you have 42, and this is a 3.5 ton. You have 36, that's a 3 ton. You have 30, that's a 2.5. You have 24, that's a 2, and you have 18, that's a 1.5, and there is no 4.5, that's 5, and that equals 4. So these are all the numbers that you would look for, because the 42 is one that's gonna, the 42 and the 30 and the 18, you know, can kind of throw people off sometimes because you don't realize that those numbers are divisible by 12. But, you know, so this is why I give them to you, so you could probably write these down. So 60, 48, 42, 36, 30, 24, and 18. That gives you all the tonnage for the air conditioners that we're going to need.
And you said that's on the model number, correct?
On the model number only, right, not on the serial number.
Okay.
If it's legible. And then if it's not legible,
Just use the
500.
500.
500 square feet per ton.
Okay.
So you want to write that down for yourself as well. So it's 500 square feet per ton.
So really though, we're gonna get the square feet before we go in the house, which we
Yeah.
should know.
Uh-huh.
Like, these are things to know before you even go in the house.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, so there's, just what I'm trying to say, there's no mysteries in this
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
You're not having to go in and figure anything out.
Yeah.
Except are you gonna follow the process? That's
Yeah.
all you gotta figure out. Are you gonna let them take you out in the left field and keep you out there? Or are you gonna have a brain fart and forget everything that you're doing, which happens sometimes?
Yeah.
I mean, it does, it happened to me, you know, I just have a freeze, you know, and then you have to just, you know, stall around, talk, build rapport until your brain comes back. And sometimes if it doesn't, step out and say, I need to call my director real quick and say, man, I forgot where I'm at. You know, wait, here's where I am, what do I do next? You know, suck in the pride, okay? This, you know, check the egos. We're here to help you. We're not gonna say, oh, you won't believe what that motherfucker called and said to me. None of those conversations ever happen. There's no dumb questions. The dumb thing is not to do anything, you know, or to leave a home that where there's money sitting because, you know, you got confused about something. You know, fuck all that. You know, walk away, do a discovery call me up, call John. We're very patient with you. I'm more patient, so I'll just say it to you that way. Call me. We're not being filmed, right? And so you don't have to say you're brand new, you can just say that this is something that's new to me, or this particular, you know, aspect of what I'm doing I haven't done in a while.
Okay.
You know, just to kind of make up an excuse for why you're looking through your notes, because you can have your notes and you can, you know, look through your notes and say, oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll appreciate that. I know of people that go in and they act like they're brand new in that division, not necessarily with the company, but they act like they're brand new all the time. Because, you know, that was just part of their presentation. But if you get lost, don't let it bother you. Don't let it, because if you do, then you're really gonna be fucked up. If you let it create anxiety in you, then it's really gonna mess with you yet. You know, so the thing to do is in the midst of it all, you know, just try to stay relaxed. Just like right now, try to stay relaxed. Don't try to overthink it. Don't try to get ahead of me. You know, just take your time and write it down and say, okay, he's given me everything that I need to know to be able to walk into a home and figure the thing out without anybody's help. And a lot of it comes out right in the survey, you know, where you already know the square footage of the home, but you're still gonna ask them, you're still gonna write it down, and you're still gonna, you know, because that's gonna be what you base all your pricing and everything on. That's an important number. Now, and I purposely did it this way, if they had an attached garage, because the garage on a single story is gonna be inside the same attic space, then we're also gonna have to add.
Bless you.
God bless you. We're gonna have to add the garage to the square footage, and that times 1.5 when they have a garage. Okay, but I didn't want to add that into the formula right now because it would just be something else for the equation, and I'm trying not to confuse you. Just realize that if we didn't do the garage, all the heat in the garage would go up into the attic and spoil everything that we tried to do by putting radiant barrier over the home. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we didn't do the garage, we're fucking them. And we're not there to fuck anybody. We're not there to hurt anybody. We're there to solve their problem. And so, you know, I left that out purposefully because I wanted to keep this scenario just as simple as possible. And so you see where the numbers are coming from and how we're calculating it. Because once you understand that, to transition to the home show and showroom prices is just a matter of whether their price is $250, you know, our home show and showroom price, and it's right on the sheet. Our home show and showroom price is $1.90. I mean, $1.90 on the installation and $2.90 on the radiant barrier or the attic shield, which is the same product. You know, so the prices are given to you, and then I'm going to give you the discounts that you do when you go to the word of mouth advertising program. Almost all contractors are going to round down.
All round down.
Yeah, they don't round up because it's $150 cheaper to get a 3-ton than it is to get a 3.5 ton. And if you're installing hundreds upon hundreds of them, that $150 adds up. And so if it was 1,700 square feet or whatever the number might be in between these two, they're always pretty much going to round down. Now use the model number first, but if you're having to pull a number, now if it's 1,920 square feet, you know, it's, you know, go with a 4-ton, you know, because I don't think they would even round down from that. But You know, and you really just need to get close. Because we're not selling air conditioning, all we're doing is putting in something that we charge $250 per ton, and, which is the Blue Max, which I'll send you some information on it. You know, it's a very good lubricant for air conditioners, and what happens, because they run so much here, is that they just begin to get overworked. And this lubricates everything, O-rings and all the internal lubrication. It cools down the compressor, which increases the efficiency. So it's a very good product. So that's why we're concerned with the tonnage, not because we're gonna sell AC, but the stuff that says Blue Max on here, and it's $250 per ton, then the home show price is $195. But right now, we're operating at a 4-ton at $250, so that's $1,000. The waste is 25, and the cost would be 1,000.
Now, in the house, do we always not focus on the hybrid heat pump, like? Or is that a whole nother thing that
If they have a high enough bill,
Yeah,
we're going to do is, you know, the solar hot water.
yeah.
If they don't have a high enough bill, then we're gonna do the hybrid hot water, if we're going to present it.
Okay, so it all depends, okay.
Yeah,
So if it's less than 200, you're gonna talk about the hybrid?
yeah.
Okay. So over
If
200.
it makes sense to,
Yeah,
you know, if it's a $130 bill, it doesn't make any sense, but at
Yeah.
$175, you can make it work.
yeah.
For a hybrid?
Yeah, but if it's under 150, then you want to present either the radiant barrier, you know, and a fan and insulation maybe, or solar domestic hot water or hybrid hot water. Package I like is hybrid hot water, radiant barrier, and a fan, you know, for the lower power bills, because it's, you know, still, it's almost a 50% savings, and it's really just a good value. You know, we sell value, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're basing this whole thing on, is value. So then, since we have a $250 bill, we're gonna be doing solar domestic hot water. So you see right there, under Blue Max, it says water heater at $12,995,
Yeah.
right under the Blue Max. You see water heater. You see it, Neil?
Yeah, solar water heater,
Yeah,
12,900.
$12,995. So that's the price that it would be for replacement cost given to you.
It just goes
The
right
waste
over.
is 30% of the 250. So we have the Blue Max at 4 tons. It's at 10% waste. And so that's $25, and then it's $1,000 because it's $250 per ton on here, and that price is given. You know, if you see Blue Max, you see on the other side of 6,995, it says $250 per ton. Y'all see that? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure, because, you know, you get in the home, you're gonna be saying, you know, how much was that Blue Max again? It's right there on the form. And then the solar hot water heater's $12,995, that number's given. And the variable speed pool, and 30%, which is $75. And then you have the variable speed pool pump at $50, which is given to you. It says right on here, cost, or, I mean, the monthly waste is $50, where instead of a percentage, it says, see where it says $50?
Yeah, just move that over.
So you just move that over, the monthly waste, $50. Then you add these numbers up.
Plus
Yeah,
260,
260, 250.
250.
Oh, that's something off. So we got 260, 250, and you say that, you know, that's, you know, as if we
Waste.
only did one of these, you know, we're treating every one of these like it's the only thing we did. So we took off the $250 power bill. If you take this one, just the first one, 10% of that, and you subtract the 25 from the 250, now you only have 225 left. This is called unstacking the numbers. Then you take the 225, and now this savings right here is 25%, so you take 225 times 0.25, and then we just keep subtracting it all the way down. So what we do know, after doing thousands of these reviews, is that this is about a 50%, actually, because of the variable speed pool pump, 60%, because what you do when you're doing a package, instead of, you know, taking the 50 off, it's okay to use it here, but when you're doing the calculation, remember the gold package is how much? What's the savings on the gold package?
40,
50.
50.
Okay, bronze is 30, silver's 40, gold is 50. Okay, so when you have a variable speed pool pump, you just add 10% to that, so it'd be a 60% reduction. You know, it just makes it simple. So 60%, so then you take 60%, you have a $250 power bill. Remember, that's what we're working with. In this situation, it's gonna be whatever somebody's power bill is and whatever their square footage is. Those are the only things that change in the formula. Then you just have to make adjustments to that. So 250, and this is gonna be a 60% savings package because we have 50% for the gold and 10% for the variable speed pool pump. So that gives us 50, so that's $150. So the monthly waste up top would be $150. 36,240. So, and that would be replacement costs. So you would write the power bill, the average power bill would be $250. The monthly waste would be $150. And the replacement cost would be $36,240. And if you noticed the way John said that yesterday, you know, you have to do all these things, but if you did them all, it'd be $36,240. Don't make a big deal out of that number. All we're trying to do here is I give them, and these are what's called the retail prices.
Yeah, if you go to Home
The
Depot,
Department of Energy
Lowe's,
prices. If you went to Home Depot, Lowe's, you know, get you a good contractor to come out and put in the radiant barrier. They'll probably do it for around $4 a square foot. Get somebody to come out here and blow the insulation. Not even talking about our company. You know, they could do it for about $250 a square foot. And then we say, when we transition to the home show and showroom prices, our prices are gonna be lower than these prices. And we're gonna say, well, remember the retail prices, if you were good one of those people, well, our home show price is only $1.90 on insulation, it's $2.90 on radiant barrier. So instead of being, you know, $12,000, I think it's $8,200 or $8,700, something like that, whatever the number is. Whatever 3,000 times 290 is. You know, so just kind of letting you know where it all starts at, which is here.
Okay.
So if you understand this is where it starts from, then you kind of, when we start to go somewhere else here in just a little while, it'll be a much smoother transition.
Yeah, that's-
You know, so on this situation, and we're gonna use this same scenario to do the first price sheet that we do in a few minutes. But I'm not gonna leave this up here because it's gonna be totally different. Because this is our walk-around numbers. This is the, you know, the second stage of the process. We do the interview first, and then we do the walk-around. And when we do the walk-around, when we come back and do replacement costs on the 2,000 square foot home with a $250 power bill with these products, that's what that number is gonna look like every time.
Yeah.
It's never going to vary. And then when we get here, we say, well, this is actually stacking the numbers. You know, we treat every one of these like it's the only thing we did. So we're taking this number off of the 250, but when you take 10, you know, you take any one of these, you know, take 50 off of the 250, you know, from the variable speed pool pump, you only have $200 left. And then you take 10% off for the insulation, then you only have $180 left. Because you had 200, you know, 10% of 200 is 20, so 20 from 200 is 180. But then you don't have to keep doing it. You know, but that's an easy one to do because it's round numbers.
Yeah.
Take the 50 from the variable speed pool pump. But, you know, just so people understand that it's $150 if they're wasting a month by not having these products. Not, you could be saving $150 a month if you buy these.
Wasting it by not having it.
Wasting it. That's
It's
where
just a totally different message. Now, a medium-sized car running 12,000 miles, averaging 22 miles per gallon, and an electric water heater supplying 80 gallons of hot water per day, both use 11.1 barrels of oil per year. That's from the Solar Energy Industry Association, SEIA. Constantly maintaining the temperature of the water in your water heater, just in case you want to take a shower, is equivalent of leaving your car idling in the driveway, just in case you want to go take a drive. I mean, really, when you think about it, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? This is the 21st century. No, this isn't the 1950s any longer. Why would we have something in our home that operates with 1950s technology? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I showed you your energy guide on your hot water heater, and you can reflect back to that in the conversation. If some of them are illegible, some of them, the hot water heater's turned in a way that you can't see it, you know, or they've got stuff blocking it, you're not always gonna be able to see their energy guide. And in that case, you would use this one. But if you just talked about theirs, you don't talk about this one here. Say this one's based on 8 cent, you just go right back to what theirs was. Now, if theirs didn't have any definitive information on it, then you would say, well, this example right here for an energy guide was based on 8.04 cent per kilowatt hour. And it was, so it was going to, on average, use about $526 per year. Well, everyone in Florida is paying about 16 cents per kilowatt hour now, so it's literally double that number, you know, divided by 12. So $1,000 divided by 12 is about what somebody's paying for hot water in that particular tank. And then when you get to this page, if you have a digital copy, you could literally hit play and you'll see the drawing that I'm about to do. You can literally, you know, let John do the presentation for you, and he does it as if, and I sent y'all a digital copy, but I didn't send it until this morning, but it is there. And the digital copy is a live link. You click on it, it'll play both the silver package drawing for the radiant barrier and also this drawing. And so if you want it to play instead of you do it, you can do that, but you're better off doing the drawing because it helps them to understand it. But then normally what you would do is you would, on the back of the other sheet, because on the back of this sheet, you've already drawn up top here, you did the illustration and the drawing, you know, with the hot water heater, 2 4,500 watt elements, 9,000 watts of power, and showers, dishwasher, and laundry with hot water, and how many hours per week they're using it. You add those numbers up, you say, well, you're heating water 168 hours, you're using it for 20, so you're heating water for 148 hours a week, just in case you need it. Now, I'm going to show you a much better solution for that. What that is called is a solar domestic hot water system. Now, what I'm going to do is draw the panel as if these things are 4 foot by 10 feet, and this is the 4 foot side. So you'll have 10 foot of copper rods running this way, you know, all the way to the end of it. But so I'm drawing it so you can kind of see on the inside of what's happening. Now you have what's happening with the sun. Now you got 7 p.m. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, there are about 200 manufacturers for solar domestic hot water out there. Only 12 of them are SRCC rated and qualify for the income tax credits. So you got to make sure that if you're going to put in a solar domestic hot water system, that is SRCC qualified. Otherwise, it will not qualify for, or SRCC rated. Otherwise, it will not qualify for the tax credits.
How many manufacturers of,
200.
200?
Now, one of the things about glass, like if I look over here at the glass, I can kind of see a little bit of my reflection even though it's light outside. If it were dark outside, I'd be able to see a good reflection of myself in here. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because glass is very reflective. And that kind of works against most of the manufacturers of this product out there, because all they do is they have flat glass on top of their panels. But what ends up happening, if a ray of the sun, got Mr. Happy over here, Mr. Sunshine, 93 million miles. Now, if it's 7 o'clock in the morning and the ray of sun hits glass, it's gonna hit it and it's gonna bank off. If it's 7 o'clock in the afternoon, it's gonna hit glass and it's gonna bank off, and just about any other time. About the best time that they're gonna, the window they're looking at is somewhere between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. When the sun is directly overhead and it comes down, well then it's gonna be able to come in and actually make some hot water. So that's
Bless you.
one of the big faults with most of the solar domestic hot water systems out there, is they don't have anything stopping the reflectivity from occurring. Now, the manufacturers that we would recommend to you would have something in there called tempered prism glass. Tempered prism glass. Now, the prism, and if you put your finger across it, it would just feel like a bunch of little, notches. And the Latin word for prism is where the word prism comes from, which means to capture. And it does two things. It captures and it magnifies the radiant heat. Now, this operates off of radiant heat. The same heat that gives you the sunburn is the heat that heats up the water. And so when you have a prism and it's 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and the sun's coming out and it hits that, the prism is going to catch it and it's going to pull that infrared heat into the panel, even early in the morning and even late into the afternoon. 7 o'clock in the afternoon in summertime, even 8 o'clock, it hits the prism and it's going to pull it inside. And so instead of only having a 4-hour window to heat water, and those systems do a fairly decent job, but that's fairly decent compared to having a full 12-hour to be able to pull the heat. And so once the heat is pulled in, then what you have running the entire length of this 4-foot by 10-foot panel are copper rods. I'm no Picasso or anything, but I'm going to do the best job that I can. I'm trying to give you an idea of what this is going to look like. So you have copper rods that are there. Now, copper is one of the most conductive metals that are known to man. It pretty much lasts forever. I mean, they've been pulling pots and vessels and all kind of different things out of Egyptian tombs for thousands of years, and they come out of there and they look like pretty much the same they look the day they were made. It just doesn't break down. It's also one of the reasons that all the security guards are on home sites when homes are being built, because the #1 stolen thing on a job site is copper because of its value. And so what you have here and what these manufacturers have done is they also take and put a copper fin all the way across the top. So even though these rods are operating individually, this copper fin that runs across the top is going to kind of turn it into like one large piece of copper and 10 copper pipes running underneath that. And then what they take and do to make matters even more interesting is they're going to use the same electroplating process that chroming goes through to adhere the black paint to the copper. And so it's never gonna crack, chip, blister, peel, nothing, it's never gonna come off of there. It's gonna be just as resilient as a chrome bumper. And so you've got the prism glass bringing the heat in. You've got the infrared heat that is coming in and hitting this copper, and at any given time, you're going to have 4 gallons of water that are running through this system slowly. And it's heating up and the water's running through the copper rod, and over here, it's got a steam release valve. And water steams at 212 degrees. Steam release valve over here. And over on this side, it gets down to 35 degrees. You have a freeze protection valve. Now, we don't have to worry about the 35 degrees too much here, but it does happen. And so on one side, if it gets too hot, then we're going to have a release of the steam. You know, it's called burping itself, and it will release, and every now and then you'll see that happening. And these things are, you know, a lot of technology have gone into them. You know, as I mentioned to you earlier, Israel went solar in 1961. About 70 years worth of technology, 60 years of technology going into this stage of the game. And a lot of the technology that we're talking about here is what was used on those same panels over there to help Israel gain its own energy independence. Now, the casing itself is made out of a hospital-grade aluminum. It's called like Series 501 hospital-grade, you know, anodized aluminum. And so basically you have, and it's very rigid, you know, very thick, very thick extrusions that are utilized. You know, we have to know when it's a 2-story install, because these things have to be lifted up. I mean, you got number one, you got a 4 by 10 foot sheet of glass, tempered prism glasses on this thing. You got copper rods running that are 4 foot by 10 feet. You got a copper fin that's across the top of everything. So these things are a little bit heavy. So if it's a 2-story install, we gotta know about that, because you probably have to have a crane come lift that sucker up there. And so you have hospital grade aluminum, you have glass, and you have copper. All of that is gonna outlive all of us. There's nothing in there that's gonna break down in several lifetimes. So that's gonna be there pretty much forever. Just like the systems that are, there are many systems. In fact, I ran into a system not too long ago, started riding with one of the reps, and the ladies, you know, said that they put solar hot water on, you know, back when her husband was alive, and he died back in the 80s. And so I knew that happened back in the Jimmy Carter days. And we went out there and took pictures of this unit. It was still out there working like it was brand new. And it was literally something that was put on a house 40 years ago. And the thing's still working. And it was so good to have a new representative out there and say, see what I'm talking about? These things have a long shelf life. They're not going anywhere, because there's not anything in here that's gonna break down.
Right. Yeah, there's no motors or anything like
No
that.
moving
It's
parts.
all gravity fed, right?
Yep.
The
And,
glass on the top, is
now
that
they're-
tempered glass?
Pardon me?
The glass on the top, is that tempered?
Yes, tempered prism glass.
Tempered prism.
Tempered prism glass. And that's the way it needs to be described. And so it can take a golf ball sized hailstone and it'll just bounce off of there. I mean, it can break, but then that would, you know, fall under your insurance. That's not a warranty issue. Now, we have a way of getting the water hot. Now, let me show you how we keep that water hot. Now, over here, I'm just gonna draw what you currently have, which is, two 4,500 watt elements. You got 9,000 watts of power. You got that little 1 inch of insulation that's put in there, using the pink stuff, and after a while it gets wet and it has no insulation value whatsoever. The hottest that water can come into a home is 120 degrees. Most people have it come in at 110. And once it drops to 100 degrees, every time that it drops to 100 degrees, those elements are turning back on. So constantly, off and on, all day long, it's bringing the temperature up because the heat's leaving just as quickly as it's being generated. Now, the difference between that tank and this tank is it has a 3-inch ceramic liner that creates such a barrier to heat loss that it only loses 1 degree per day.
An inch is 2 dashes, right?
Yep.
Pardon me?
2 dashes on an inch and 1 dash on the foot?
Yep.
So you have 3 inches of a ceramic liner on the inside, which is high level of insulation value. We're only going to lose 1 degree per day. We're going to bring the water into that tank at 180 degrees, approximately. And we're going to put it out at 110 degrees, which is where most people want it. So there's what's called a hydronic diffuser built into this, which is really a cold water mixing valve. So I'll just call it that. So you have a cold water mixing valve. Now you currently have a 50-gallon tank. This is an 80-gallon tank. And you have 80 gallons of 180 degree water. We can only put that water out at 110, so we're going to have to bring the temperature down by 70 degrees using cold water. So really we have about 120 to 130 gallon capacity. So this is the kind of things you can do in a day. You can take 4 showers, you can wash 2 loads of clothes, you can run your dishwasher and still have plenty of hot water left. And you're only going to lose 1 degree a day, and so if you're having some cloudy days, you're never going to. Now there is a 3,500 watt element that is in here as a backup, but it really rarely ever has to come on. It does, and it is connected to one of your breakers where you can just turn that element off. So there's no reason for it to ever come on, because, and then if you ever had a situation where you ran out of hot water for some reason because you had a lot of people over, we had a whole lot of overcast days, and you can turn that element back on. But you can just literally turn the thing off and leave it off. And so there's no electricity going to that hot water heater at all.
And you said that that's an 80-gallon tank?
It's 80 gallons. And we're bringing it in at 180, and putting it out at 110, so.
It stores at 180 though, only losing 1 degree a day?
Right.
And then you just mix it to come out at 110, so you don't
Right,
burn
exactly.
your face off. That's fucking badass, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this technology is 60 years old. I mean, this is not, we're not experimenting with anybody's money. This is proven technology. We've literally installed thousands of these things, and we've never had a problem.
Yeah.
So you can do all of those things on a daily basis, all the showers, and everything is designed based on the number of people that are in the house. Now there is a 120-gallon tank. Sometimes we use 1 4x10 panel, and sometimes with the number of people in the house, we might have to use 2 4x10 panels. Engineering takes care of that.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about it. Everything is included in the pricing.
Yeah.
When you put the price out there, if you have to do a 120-gallon tank and 2 panels, you just increase the price by $1,000. That's the only thing that you need to know on that. But even if you didn't do that, and you didn't realize that it was gonna need 2 panels, there's enough in there that you don't have to worry about it. This is another highly profitable item, just like the radiant barrier is a highly profitable item.
Right.
You know, we operate at about an 18 to 22% net. And if you've ever been in the home improvement business world, they operate at between 4 and 7%. But we operate in a whole different realm. And one of the reasons for that is because we give you the drops that you can do and you can't go any lower, and we're the ones that are protecting the money. Everybody's money. And so literally you have a hot water heater that the sun is taken care of. Now, you can have a day like today where the sun was out and then it went in, just like being out on the beach. And, you know, you're out there and it's 1, 2 o'clock, you know, it's sunny and, you know, you're getting some sun, and then it gets cloudy all of a sudden and it seems to cool off. And you stay out there for another 3 or 4 hours and you get home and you look in the mirror and you go, oh my God, what just happened? Because it cooled off, you don't even feel it happening to you. But what happens with the infrared rays when it gets cloudy, the ones that got in, they're banking off of those clouds and coming back down, just like the infrared banks off a radiant barrier. The same exact thing happens. So if anyone's saying, well, how do you know that that it's actually reflecting it? Well, you ever gotten the sun burn on a cloudy day? It's the same exact principle. So when you tell them stories like that, they don't doubt you. I mean, they already saw the demonstration, which you didn't get to see. But when we turned this heat lamp on yesterday, and we did a test in the beginning, it was like 68 over here, 67 over here. And then we turned it on, the wood went up to 160, this went up to 80. And so literally you're looking at 80 degrees difference. So anyway, we have hospital grade aluminum, copper glass. So, and then we have the prism glass, which is gonna catch the sun all day long. So you see how we're gonna heat the water up and be able to heat it up for decades?
Yeah.
You see how we're gonna be able to keep that water hot? Even on cloudy days, you're still gonna have tons of hot water because you got 180 degree water and 80 gallons of it, or 120 depending on the size of the tank. And you can only put it out at 110. So you got 120, 130 gallon capacity there. So not gonna run out of water. So we're heating it up, it's gonna last forever. And then we're gonna keep it hot over here in this tank. Instead of losing the heat, we're only gonna lose about a degree a day. The story doesn't change very much. Then you go right back into the book and just pick right back up where you were. Now, let me ask you something, Aaron. If you had a chance to buy a fuel card for a one-time purchase of $5,000, and with that fuel card, it would allow you to fill up every car at your home for the rest of your life, would you take advantage of it?
I mean, yeah.
Yep. No hesitation.
No brainer,
right? Yeah. So if you're talking to a 75-year-old, you change the phraseology a little bit. Now, Aaron, if this were 25 years ago, and you had an opportunity to purchase a fuel card for a one-time purchase of $5,000, and with that card, it would have allowed you to fill up every car at your home for the rest of your life, would you have taken advantage of it?
Well, yeah.
Of course. So, if they're older, you want to backdate it a little bit to where it makes a little more sense, even though a lot of people are living to be 90, 100 years old today. There's more people at 100 years old right now than there have ever been 100-year-olds. Some people living 108, 110, 112 years old. People are living, and unfortunately for a lot of people, they outlive their money. Their retirement is set up, based on actuary tables. And when people exceed those actuary tables, sometimes they run out of money. And that's definitely not how you want to end your life. Your last days is trying to figure out how you're going to pay your bills and how you're going to control the ever-rising costs from the power company. And so this really is a peace of mind purchase. You know, it's not a solar hot water, you know, even though we're using that technology, they're really purchasing peace of mind, something that they can control that they didn't think they could control before. Now the solution is simple. You lower your energy consumption, increase your property value, decrease your carbon footprint, lower dependency on foreign oil, and it helps you keep your money. Now it's up to you. Now we are a company that you can count on. We've been serving all of Florida for the last 6 years as Green Solutions of Florida. We are Dun & Bradstreet rated, which the only way you get Dun & Bradstreet rated is you have to have top A credit and you have to also be debt free. We are A plus accredited with the BBB. We have, I think it's 65 5-star reviews right now with Home Advisor, 245 with Google My Business. We only turn the Home Advisor on every now and then, but you know, 97% of the people that we've done work for recommend us. We also are licensed, bonded, and insured. We have $2 million worth of insurance on every job that we do. You know, so we are insured to the hilt. We also, you know, we do our own installs, so we're paying workman's compensation and all those other things that are required of legitimate companies. And we have a 24-hour service commitment. And it's important that you explain what this is. We're not 24/7 company. We're not, you know, like disaster relief type companies. What this means is that if you call us at 12 o'clock today and tell us you have a problem by 12 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to call you with a solution. Now, if your problem is hot water, we're going to be more responsive. You know, we're going to get somebody out there pretty much right away as soon as somebody gets into the office and is notified. But we're not a 24/7, you know, fast response company. And usually the problems, you know, that somebody has with the hot water, you know, it's not going to show up at, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's going to show up, you know, whenever it happens, and then we'll respond accordingly. Make sure that you explain that to them properly. Now, these are like a number of the services and a number of the products and accolades and things like that that we've, you know, accomplished and done over the years. Now, Aaron, let's just pretend like you're driving down an interstate and you have two exits you can take, exit A and exit B. Now, with exit A, you continue to consume fossil fuels, you pay escalating utility bills, you keep contributing to global warming, you increase dependency on foreign oil, you ensure the U.S. remains the world's leader in wasting fossil fuels. You ignore the facts of the world's energy crisis. Now that's exit A. And exit B is you reduce your utility bills, you take advantage of the federal tax credits, you reduce dependency on foreign oil, you reduce emissions, you invest in renewable energy, and you increase the value of your home, and you accomplish all of this without affecting your budget. I know this is a crazy question. They pay me to ask you this. What makes more sense to you, Aaron, exit A or exit B?
I'm taking exit B.
Exit B, absolutely right. I agree with you 100%.